the recording's up, I'll just be a minute or so. I'm looking for something to talk about.
Okay.
What's up? Attackers incoming. Defend objective A. Restoring balance.
Okay. Already watching over the overhealing. Well, I'll get on that in a second though if we keep doing it. Okay, so yeah, so right away something that keeps happening that I'm seeing is that we already seem to be overhealing, and that's a habit a lot of the times that if you notice it, it'll be something that just continues to be a thing throughout like all of your fights, all of your games. It's something that will kind of just be habitual. So overhealing is pretty much the concept of when somebody is full HP or close to full HP and you're still healing them. Now, it might seem harmless when you're right here coming out of spawn and you're healing a full HP Moira, but then it really. You really start to see negative side effects when you're doing it throughout a fight. And when you're doing it throughout a fight, then firstly, it's wasting your heal resource. So maybe, for example, you might come into a scenario where you're healing somebody who's full HP, and you just use up all of your Ofudas, and then while they're resetting, somebody dies because you couldn't heal them, right? So you just end up using it when it's not needed, so that when it is needed, you don't have it. And then secondly, I'd say that probably the bigger, more important thing is that you're just wasting a lot of time, right? That's time that you could be spending doing anything else with your time. You could be using that time to damage. You could be using that time to heal somebody else who actually does need healing. You could be using that time to use an ability, to reposition, to pay attention to your surroundings, but primarily to damage. You could also use it to reload as well. So you have a lot of different options. So you can see during this fight, we healed the Moira coming out of spawn. And then notice how even after we get everybody to full HP, we still continue to throw healing. And we still continue to throw healing. And we're still throwing healing. And then we throw it again. And then now Reinhardt needs a little bit of healing, so you can tap him up. And then we get him to full HP. When you still throwing some more, so that's something else to add in there as well for this concept is you even if somebody's really close to full HP, so let's say somebody's down 50 HP or a tank is down 100 HP, sometimes honestly that's not the most important thing. If a tank is down 100 HP, sometimes there's just some other more important things you could be doing at your time, such as reloading, damaging if you see the opportunity to damage. You could look for somebody else who needs healing more. But somebody being down a tiny little bit of HP doesn't always need to be topped off immediately. Now, of course, you need to watch it, heal it if you're in between a fight, heal it if you just have nothing else better to do. But if somebody's down a little bit, that's not always an emergency. So this is the kind of thing where if you do this for like, let's just say you did this for 4 seconds of fight, which we saw, there we saw maybe about 4 seconds, 5 seconds, and the fight's not even done. But let's just say like it's 4 seconds of fight, and let's just go on the liberal side. Let's say that you have one fight every minute ish of the game. So this is very, I guess, right, yeah, so this is a very conservative estimate here. Might even be higher. So let's say that you have 12 fights in this game, so 4 times 12, and that would just mean that you're inching towards just about a minute of gameplay. I'd say it's probably even higher than that. Let's say like it's probably more likely it's like 5 seconds across like every 40 seconds. You're having a fight like every 40 seconds or something like that. So you're probably looking at least a minute of time that you're just spending doing nothing in this game. And that's just time that could be spent doing other things. All right. Did that whole concept make sense? Did you have any questions on it?
Uh, uh, I just want to explain my thought process because
Mhm.
typically I'm playing more towards my tank, trying to position so I can see the enemies and my tank
Mhm.
to switch in between the Fudas and Kunai. But they have a para which is a big problem in my head because I can't really play with my team, so it would be too much splash damage and too much useless damage taken. Is it a wrong mentality?
Positioning wise, you really just kind of depends on where Farah's at. Where like if she's like above you, then maybe spread out from your team. Yeah, so like if she's right here, yeah, maybe you might not want to be directly on top of them. But honestly, I would just be looking to use cover. And if you either put pressure on her, right? So like for example, if Farah's just shooting at you, um, why not like toss some kunai back, right? That might, instead of healing people who are full HP, that might be a more effective strategy of getting her off of you. Or if we want to, we can try to hug cover more, get out of her line of sight. That can make it so that she can't really see you, right? If you're doing something like this, she can't see you, and now you've gone out of her line of sight. Or you could be over here, out of her line of sight, where she can't see you, and you can heal your team up. So hugging cover would probably be a much more effective strategy than just simply staying split up from your team. Staying split up from your team is like a decent strategy. I'd say it's probably more important if you have like if Far's trying to like ult you or something like that to stay split apart. But I'd say more importantly, I'd seek out cover than just trying to stay split up from your team. Because if you split up from your team and then she chooses to focus you down, well, then you haven't really accomplished too much. She's just gonna kill you when you're not next to your team, and now you are out in the open by yourself, kind of thing. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Cool.
Because it's something I struggle to balance, like the damage versus healing, when to switch in between both. I
Yeah.
feel like we're taking a lot of damage, even though we have more health than a few seasons back.
Mm-hmm.
People die pretty quickly,
Yeah.
so I'm
They
trying
definitely
to
can.
top everyone off all the time.
Yeah. So quite simply, um, damage comes when healing is not needed, and you want to identify when healing is not needed. In a lot of cases, so obviously here in this case, Reinhardt needs healing, but 10 seconds ago, we saw cases where we were healing people who were full HP, right? Or down 50 HP. And you're right, sometimes topping people off can be important. Really, I'd say topping people off becomes most important if they're actively in combat. But if you're just like poking from a mile away, right, then it's not going to be as important. You have to try to find the balance of knowing how much HP, how much HP is is enough and how much is too little when you need to heal. A lot of the times, if somebody has 90% of their HP, that 10% is not going to make too much of a difference. And if you have the opportunity to go and shoot at something, like let's say for example, Lucio is like right here. You see, there's a Lucio. You're standing right here. Lucio is like right here in front of you, and you notice that like all your teammates are like 90% topped off on their health. There'd be no reason to heal your teammates because they all have a shield. They all are full HP for most part. In that case, you just shoot at Lucio because you have nothing else better. Like the Lucio is the best thing to do is to shoot at Lucio. Um, Even here in this case right now, if you wanted to, like if you were in line of sight, shooting at Lucio would be better than healing because of the fact that that Reinhardt has a shield up, right? Because if Reinhardt has a shield up, he's not going. You have a Moira who's healing him, and Reinhardt's not going to be dying anytime soon. Because he can just shield and then he's getting healed. And then you can kunai in that time, and you can maybe potentially kill Lucio between you and Sombra. Now, do we kunai?
Those were great.
No, we back up and heal. Right, that kind of thing. So you want to find the balance. Watch health bars. Pay attention to the danger level of your teammates. Um, does that make sense as an answer to that?
Yeah, I guess it's just practice at this point. I
Yeah.
will need to think about it while in game.
Oh yeah, exactly. And I mean, this is a little early to mention it. Usually I mention it after we've gone over a few more things, but that's really how you improve at things at all, is that while you're playing, you actively focus on the thing you're trying to work on. You're not just going to come in and autopilot or just play to play, but you're playing to improve, and not just purely playing to win, but you're playing to improve, right? And that looks like you're gonna pick something out, like for example, you're overhealing, and you're going to think to yourself, don't overheal, don't overheal, watch your health, don't overheal. Damage when healing's not needed. Damage when healing's not needed. Damage when healing's not needed. And if you give yourself that constant stream of reminders to pay attention to your surroundings and to pay attention to when you're healing and when you're damaging, well, you'll probably find that much easier to balance, and your gameplay will look better. And then if you do that for a long enough period of time, it will form it as a habit. And then once it forms as a habit, then it just comes naturally. And then you can move on from there to the next thing to work on. And the final thing is just don't try to do everything all at the same time. We're going to be going over a lot of different things. So just might be overwhelming to try to do everything. So instead, pick a category of things or 1 to 3 smaller things within a category to work on. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Right now, my big focus is on positioning. That's what I'm trying to improve on.
All right.
But dealing damage is something I have on my checklist as well.
Gotcha. All right. All right. Well,
Yeah, I have a question regarding those type of plays, but I guess I will just let the gameplay roll a little bit more.
if you should go join him when he's doing that.
And I have a. Sometimes games are so chaotic that even though I'm trying to find something to do, I feel like I'm just watching. How can I put it? Chaos.
Yeah.
And it's unsettling. Like I don't know how to react to stuff.
Yeah, like there's too information overload, and you're not sure what to do. Yeah.
Yeah,
I think that. Go ahead.
Most of the time I'm trying to look at content creators to find answers to some questions I have while in game. And typically their gameplay looks really organized, so everyone knows what everyone is doing. So I don't have to turn around to check for stuff. Well, they don't know to turn around to check for stuff, or they can like think ahead of time to know where the enemies are coming, how to position. And in those games, sometimes I feel like, yes, they are going to play for the high ground, and then everyone comes back on low ground, and I don't know how to react because my whole gameplay goes to the trash. It's something like this Reinhardt's move. I was planning on pushing with him, but then I realized he was going out of map, and now the team fight is pretty much lost. So it's just, well, let's go back.
Yeah.
And I don't know how to react to that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think you had a fine reaction after. I mean, when Reinhardt's dead, that's not an automatic lost teammate. You're team fight because you're actually up one person when Reinhardt died. Because I think somebody else got a kill when Reinhardt died, so you traded 2 for 1. So you're actually up a person, and then your Moira died, which maybe we could have TP Suzu'd or something like that. I think you just reacted a little bit slowly to Moira, getting killed by the turrets, but once you lost a couple more teammates, I think we played maybe a little bit too passive when we were at an advantage. We were just kind of sitting there when we were actually even or up people. So maybe you wrote off the fight too fast when you were just down a Reinhardt. So you said this is a lost fight because you're down a person or two when you're actually even on both sides. And then that meant that because you were kind of sitting back or you didn't have teammates, but once you officially lost the fight, waiting for your team is fine because now you have a big advantage because they have much further spawns from you guys. So now you guys can all push in and it's fine because now you have an advantage in players. So we can just kind of push in and win this fight. Now to answer your question about the chaos, you are right. Games will be chaotic sometimes. And I think you to an extent you're right that the higher up in rank you go, it will become a little bit more predictable in terms of what people are going to do. Yet at the same time, it's becomes unpredictable in a different manner because people simulate unpredictableness because they can't just be predictable or else you'll be able to predict them. So they will simulate being unpredictable by taking angles they think you won't be. Basically, it'll be like unintentional, or it'll be, rather than unintentional chaos, it'll be intentional chaos. Now, how do you manage that and navigate that? It's confusing and complex, and really you just have to um, understand how to break it down and know what the best play is. Or really, ultimately, I would just pick something and do something. Take some action. Don't sit around and do nothing. Take an action and then analyze as you're going if that was the best action to take or not, right? So, for example, if you had the choice between like teleporting to two different people and joining them in combat, right? Like, for example, like, do I teleport to the Sombra or do I teleport to the Reinhardt? Like, who do I go to? Rather than sitting there and just becoming inactive and just frozen due to the amount of choices, do something, analyze later. So TP to the Sombra, join her in combat, and then if you die and it doesn't go good, well then think about it to yourself. Analyze your mistake. Think, what went wrong? Could I have teleported to the Reinhardt? Would teleporting to Reinhardt been better? Oh, maybe teleporting to Reinhardt would have been better because Reinhardt was in a safer position. He was with his team. I wouldn't have been that into the enemy team as much. Things like that. You can analyze what you should have done after the fact, and then as you analyze what the best moves are, you'll start to have an understanding of what the best moves are. As you have a knowledge and understanding of the game and you're looking to apply it as you're going, as you have a plan of action, that plan will make it easier to react to things, because if you're expecting things to happen ahead of time, it's a lot less chaotic. For example, if you know what ultimates they have and what ultimates they're going to use, it becomes a lot less chaotic in a fight because you know what's going to happen. Whereas if you have no clue what's going to happen and then all of a sudden ults are flying left and right, it can seem very overwhelming. And I think maybe what you're missing is that the higher up in rank you go, it's not always necessarily that the games are just becoming a lot more orderly. It's just that players get to the point where they're able to take all of the information in and be aware of their surroundings and process it in an organized manner in their heads. So now you're able to take the 20 different things that are happening and simplify it and know what to do with it. And that's something that we can, that will come with time and practice, as well as even like through stuff like this in coaching or doing self-coaching and analyzing your mistakes, and paying attention to what you could do better. And as you do all of that, it will break the game down and make it easier to process. Does that all make sense? Do you have any questions on that?
No, no questions. That's really clear.
All right, cool. Well, let's keep going then. Right now we're playing a little far back, right? Like our whole team's pushing in, and we're sitting a little far. We can't really, like, our Reinhardt's pushing up around the corner. We're playing at a really far range at the moment. We'll maybe go repositioning in a moment. Okay. Could be thinking about right there maybe going for TP Suzu, because in a lot of cases, if you TP Suzu, like there's only two people there, right? We teleport in, we Suzu, because you have immortality for a second, and a lot of times she was kind of already focused on the Sombra. You can just back up and they won't have their attention on you. Or for example, here it would be pretty simple to teleport Suzu and then like wall climb up to high ground, something along those lines, and that just instantly puts you into safety. Now, of course, it'd be dangerous to teleport. You don't want to just teleport Suzu. Like if you're in the middle of this room and both of them would be able to shoot at you, maybe that becomes questionable because they could just shoot you. But I'd say primarily the fact that you could climb up to high ground makes that very doable. Oh, nice headshot. Okay. Using Suzu after
Yeah,
you're
that
around
was
that
a weighted
corner.
scissor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let the Kitsune guide you.
Uh-oh.
Yep.
Yep, just take a couple extra seconds to place it. Don't rush it. Here you could also probably just, I think, melee her and she's dead. Look at her health bar. I think that's like 40 HP, and I'm pretty sure melee does 40 HP now. Oh, where is she at? 34 HP. Right, that's a melee kill right there. So melee to finish if somebody's 1 HP. And we also stop paying attention and you swap to the Ana. Right, so meleeing to finish, accidentally send the wall your ult into the wall.
I'm on the objective.
Little
I guess that was a panic moment, I guess.
mhm.
I'm here. I'm on the objective.
Yeah, and that was just a moment where I was like, I need to regroup, so...
Yep. And right now, like, honestly, you guys could just, like, you could just maybe look for a shot. Like, this is currently still a 3v4, and you guys have close spawns, so you could be maybe looking for a pick, try to teleport out if you get in danger. I wouldn't go and, like, suicide in at this point, which is what you seem to be doing. That's good. You lose your Sombra. Yeah, now this is lost. You lost all your teammates. Okay. In that last fight, let's just talk about positioning real quick. Right, you said that's something you want to work on. Let's talk about Kiriko ranging, because I think that at the very beginning of the fight, especially, you're just very out of range of everything. So Kiriko across your both healing and damage. Right. Let's talk about why you generally are close range for both healing and damage. Now, that doesn't mean that you're always standing close range, but it's a preference. So healing, right? Why are you close ranged on healing? Well, firstly, you cap out at a mid range. You cannot heal past 30 meters because it just won't lock on past 30 meters. 30 meters, your kind of your cap range for the auto lock. For healing, as well as your teleport. You won't be able to teleport to teammates out of 30 meters. So you have to play at 30 meters, which is a mid-range. And then on top of that, the further away you are from a teammate, the slower they receive healing, right? So watch all that travel time. So if that teammate was critical HP and you go, oh, they're critical, and you start healing them, they could be dead by the time those Fudas get there. Or if you need to Suzu, look how slow it is to get them the Suzu, right? It's very delayed. And then because they're further away, your Suzu will also be less accurate because of the fact that it's a slow projectile. So we throw it, and then by the time it gets there, whether on accident or on purpose, they've already moved on out of the way of your Suzu, right? So we're healing them slower, we're Suzuing slower, it's less accurate, and you're also going to be more in danger of just being out of line of sight of teammates if they just run around the corner the further away you are. So really, if you have the ability to, you want to be closer to teammates, right? You can do mid-range. Close is best if at all possible, just for those different reasons. Now damage, it's pretty much the same thing. Mid-range is okay, and a lot of the times, because you're playing around your team, it'll be more like this, where it's close to mid-range for teammates. Enemies, it's like mid to close range generally, but close is still your preference because you have a very slow projectile as your kunai. So by the time your kunai get there, they've already moved out of the way. The further away you are, the smaller your target is, which makes shots harder to land than right here. This is a lot easier of a target to hit. So being closer is just going to make kunai easier. Now, of course, be careful that you're not getting too close because there's other characters that do close range better than you, so don't come up to here on a Reaper or Reinhardt or May or things like that, right? Obviously, you do have a little bit of range, so it's going to kind of depend. Characters that are super close range, be back here. Characters that aren't, you can come and be up here, because that's just going to make your shots easier to land. So how do you work with that information? Well, if you're dueling somebody, instead of just keeping this range, maybe you can try to close the distance as you're engaging them and getting closer. A really handy dueling tip on Kiriko is like wait till your whole team's full HP. They all don't need you. You can go duel something. You see this person's off by themselves, so okay, you can run and go and get them. Whenever you're going off by yourself, always keep in mind someone who you can TP out to, right? Because then you can just at a moment's notice do a quick flick around and teleport out. So I go in. It's getting dangerous, so maybe I Suzu and teleport. So teleporting, you can actually hold down your shift so that the moment you hover over top of somebody, you teleport. So that makes it very handy for quick teleports to go in and just be like fight, Suzu, TP, right? Because you have somebody in mind and you're doing a quick flick to them while holding it down.
Do you want to commit your Suzu to duel someone?
You definitely can. It kind of just depends on the scenario. If it means keeping yourself alive, then most certainly. If it means the difference between life and death, it's most certainly more important to use your Suzu than to die. And it's a 15-second cooldown. If you use it to secure a kill, then that's usually value, right? If you do it. Now, of course, like that's not always going to be the case. If you can take the duel without using it, then take the duel without using it. But sometimes that just might mean the difference between winning and losing the duel because they're getting shots off on you, or it might mean the difference between staying alive and dying, right? And if it means staying alive and escaping, then it definitely is more important to use it than to die and not use it. So does all of that make sense in terms of ranging and preferences? Doesn't mean that you can't play back here to do damage. Is usually this is just what you do when you're poking and you don't have the option to get closer.
Yeah, okay. What I'm understanding is maybe I'm playing a little bit too defensively, too far away from the fights.
Yeah.
Because I, as a healer, I tend to value my life to give health to other people, like not so much to bring damage to the team.
Mm-hmm.
I see Kiriko as a healing / utility with her Suzu.
Yeah, she definitely is. But I would honestly like in terms of time spent, it'll differ game to game. Based off of team composition and based off of the map and things like that, and how much damage is your team actually taking. But I'd say generally speaking, you're gonna find that Kiriko has roughly like a 60-40 or like a 70-30 split on healing versus damage. So 60% to 70% healing versus 40 to 30% damage. And right now, maybe that's a lot lower, down to like 15% damage and most healing. And because we're overhealing, we're healing when we don't need to be. So I would just say you're not wrong. Obviously, she's a support, but there will be times where you can damage, and a lot of times that's also going to be where you can find a lot of value too, is the healing and then the damage. Everybody can heal bot very easily. Everybody knows how to do this, but not everybody knows how to do this and manage them both. And that's where you can find a lot of value. The other thing is that during your game, you being far back wasn't just a problem of being able to damage, but you're also just putting yourself way outside of heal range. You're actually going out of line of sight of a lot of teammates. You want to position yourself to where you can see as many teammates as possible at a moment's notice. So if I'm positioned right here, notice how I can only see my one teammate here, right? And I can only heal this person. And even if I could see them, I'm so far away from those guys over there. But if I were to position on this side, well, now I can see two people. But now that guy over there, like he's just a little too far away, right? Once again. So what if I position somewhere like right here, where now I can I can turn around and I can access both of these guys at a moment's notice, and just position somewhere like that where I can kind of, you want to be able to see as many teammates as you are able to at a moment's notice and heal them, and be closer to them instead of being really far away. Does that make sense?
But is that what if I need to put myself in line of sight of enemies to heal a teammates? Is it a good positioning then?
A lot. I mean, you want to be able to put enemies out of line of sight, but if they need the healing, then do the healing, right? Like if if your option is so for example, you're not always gonna have the option to be out of line of sight of your teammates. Like let's say for example here you're coming into the fight and you can't really like, if you're coming straight head on, there's nowhere like I could do this maybe, but you don't really have like a lot of great options. So if these people need healing over here, and it means putting yourself in line of sight of them, it's just gonna depend how dangerous is it. Usually, if it means, as long as it's not gonna get you killed, and your teammates need healing, then they need healing. So go ahead and heal them. Now, if you're like a lot closer and there's like 5 of them and you need to peek out in the open to do it, then that's maybe a little bit more dangerous. You might want to use cover, right? No matter what, if you have the option for cover, try to use cover and try to put enemies out of line of sight if you are healing. If you do need to peek to heal a teammate, then go for it, as long as it's not going to get you killed. It kind of is just going to be situational.
Okay.
All right. We have like 20 minutes left. Do you want a little bit of time on Lucio?
I don't have a replay code.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
So let's just keep on Kiriko.
Sure. Is there any particular aspects of Lucio that you were interested in learning?
Well, Lucio, I mean, it's the text, obviously, like it's the most complicated part of his kits.
What was the most part that you were talking about?
His like wall riding text.
Wall riding. Yeah. Okay.
But I don't have a code. I don't believe I've played him since yesterday, so let's just keep on Kiriko, I guess.
Would you just like a really quick wall riding course then? Like it honestly could take like a couple like a minute to go over.
Yeah, let's go.
Sure. So when you're on Lucio and you're wall riding around, generally you want to be wall riding as much as possible, because then you're getting as much speed as possible, even if it's only for a second. Because if I'm trying to, for example, notice the difference if I'm trying to get from here to there between just walking it and even just doing like a quick hop on the side. Even if I just do a quick hop on the side, look how much quicker I get there. So Lucio, you want to think about his wall riding a lot of times as a series of a lot of small hops, because you're doing a small hop from here to a small hop to there, to there,
Yes.
to there, to there, right? And you're just
build
going from
momentum.
Yeah, exactly, to build momentum. So that's a lot of times what you're doing. When you're wall riding, do not move right, do not move left, do not move, for the most part. A lot of times you're just holding W. You'll just start with that, and then as you go, you'll learn the other situations to use your other keys, but just hold W and use your camera to move. So you're not moving using your full WASD. You're holding W and using your camera. This allows for a lot smoother wall riding. You're also going to spam jump, right? These are the basics. W, use your camera, spam jump. And then we're going to now take that and we're going to move, and we're going to jump from object to object to object, and we're just going to use our camera to move around here as we're going. Okay, and we can start to pick up a little bit of momentum. If you're ever trying to go up things, you look upwards, and that'll get you up things faster. If you're ever trying to fall down, then you look down, and you'll kind of go in that direction easier. So tap, tap. Oh, falling down here. 1 second. Look up. Tap, tap, tap. Looking up. Tap, tap. Training range is not like the best place to do this, but tap, tap, tap.
What settings do you recommend for Lucio? Because he has like the toggle wall ride. He has the auto jump.
All right, so let me go over to Lucio. Toggle wall ride. Honest, what was the toggle wall ride again? There's not many people I know who like go off of default. Wall ride cares about movement.
Wall,
Well, I
wall jump
obviously
on
would.
release.
I think they put backwards wall ride as default, so that obviously would be on. Wall jump on release. I have that on apparently. I think that's wall jump on release. Honestly, at this point, I don't even know if I remember what these settings are. I don't play Lucio enough, and I think some of those are newer ones. Wall jump on release, and I guess it's because I'm letting go of my jump
When
button.
you let
Yeah,
go of spacebar, it
yeah,
makes you jump off the wall.
yeah.
If you
Mhm.
want, I found a game on Oasis when I played a bit of Lucio.
Yeah, up to you. We go over a little bit. I mean, that was the basic crash course for wall riding at the very least. But there's of course a lot more.
Yeah, but he's all about positioning, in my opinion.
Mm.
So
Mhm.
that's part of why I wanted to practice him,
Mhm.
because when thinking about positioning, he's one of the best one to learn. I feel like
Mm. Mhm.
always staying in range of your allies. So I have to play a little like closer to my teammates and to
Mhm.
the enemies too. It was during second points. I started on Kiriko.
Ready for battle.
A bit Fana too.
Ready.
Aerial positioning underway. Free to engage.
I'm under attack! A cure for all the you want
Okay.
that love?
So heal amping only ever comes when you need extra healing or extra speed. Obviously, because it gives you a boost. So, when do you need extra healing? Well, you might need it if you have, especially if you have teammates that are critical and in danger and in need of quick healing. So, if you see a teammate who's low HP, multiple teammates who are low HP, big group healing that needs to happen, things like that. That's when you need amp heals. But we amp heals when nobody really needs it. Immediately
You
here,
want
look at
that
your health bar and the health bar of your teammates up on the top right real quick. And this is over healing again, right? And using a really long ability when it's not really needed. Amp speed comes anytime you want to, run in extra fast, right? So we can do that anytime our team's sprinting into them. But here, that's just misused.
Just don't stay down.
How's that for sound therapy? Get long.
Yep, so got a little bit separated from your team. It's probably primarily because of that hindrance, but also we ended up kind of swooping over here, and we actually stole it, so that's unfortunate. You do a decent job of getting out. I like the boop into them. Honestly, we could just boop and then like keep wall riding out. We kind of hesitated, but you do make it out. That's good. We're up. You're swooping back in. Nice. All right. Pretty solid. Yep, that was a bit better. You had two teammates who were critical.
And when I saw Malga, I switched to Ana after that.
Mm-hmm.
Pick it
Okay.
up, pick it up.
We end up like positioning. I mean, now you just kind of lose teammates. Not really too much you're able to do because you just have teammates just get headshot. But we also just like do position like really far away from your team here. Or, like even before Ash was dying, you were running off onto your own and not really after anything in particular. Sometimes it's okay, perfectly fine to go off on your own as Lucio to, like, for example, go and swoop in and get a kill. Lucio's very opportunistic, so if you see an enemy who's low, out of position, you can boop them off the map. A lot of times you can swoop in and finish off a kill because of your high mobility, but here we're not even like really separating for any particular purpose. We're just kind of moving away from our team just cause.
My original plan was to try to boop Pharaoh to buy time for my Ash, but then I saw him dying and I changed plan and ran out.
Yep. Honestly, probably swapping is a good idea there, and as Lucio wasn't gonna find too much value. You're not gonna be able to do anything against Pharah. So I think Ana's a good move. All right. You want to go back to Kiriko then?
There is a bit of Kiriko at the start of this game.
Sure.
And I switched to Ana pretty quickly because of Roadhog.
Gotcha. Yeah, which is fair enough. Yep. So you can see this is this is a good balance. You can see like the difference. This is a good balance between healing and damage. That's overhealing, but we damage. We see that he needs healing. We heal. We damage. Then we go back to overhealing, right? And more is full HP and we're healing her, right? So notice how, like, if you're paying attention to the health bars, you'll be able to see this is when I heal, this is when I damage. Okay, positioning wise, you're doing pretty good right now. You have cover usage, right? You're using that left side as cover. You're a little bit farther back now. Now that you're pressuring them, you can probably push forwards. Because now you're pretty far back. I'd be more like right here, right? That was fine when they were pushed forwards though. But now that you can probably be pushing forwards to help your teammates, which is what we do. That's good. We get hooked through everybody. Gotta just get accidentally hooked through the middle of everybody.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, watch for it. Watch the Roadhog. Be aware of him. Use cover so you can't get healed. Throw Suzu down, not forwards. Okay. DPSing. We're just shooting the Roadhog over and over again, right? Which isn't always a bad thing to do, but he's not. A lot of times can be the best target to be shooting at. General quick target priority is you want to shoot at the easier characters to kill because those things will actually die. Characters that tanks are designed to be hard to kill. They have 2 to 3 times the health of other characters. Armor, tanking abilities, shields, they get healed the easiest, and therefore they'll stay alive the easiest. And it's usually best to try to shoot at the other things because they'll actually die when you shoot at them. And that's not to say you never shoot at tanks. Shoot at them if they're low, out of position, if they're the only thing you can shoot at. But if you have the option, like if you have like 4 people in front of you here, and the Illari's half HP, and you have the option between Illari who's half and Mei who's almost half, and the Roadhog who's half. Well, Roadhog's just getting pocketed by 2 supports, and he's probably not going to die as easily. Okay, so we're off on the side here. We don't have Suzu because we used it ourselves, so we don't have it. That's unfortunate.
Yeah, I was looking for a TP target, but no one was there.
I don't think you're using TP very frequently. Use it more frequently. It's a 7-second cooldown. It comes back really quick. So like when you're coming back from spawn, I just be spamming anytime. Like just use it right now. Get back to the fight sooner. Right? It's better that you're back in the fight. It's not like you're gonna get into the fight and then immediately need to use it. In a lot of cases here, it's a 7-second cooldown. It's coming back a lot quicker than your Suzu will be, and yet we're not really using it too much. You can use it to get out of danger. You can use it to get back to the fight sooner, and that's what we're not doing here is using it to get back to the fight sooner. That'd be pretty valuable here. Teleport to him. Teleport in Suzu. Teleport Suzu. Right. Here we don't do that either.
I guess that's related to the fact that I play too defensively.
Yeah. Yep. And it's not bad to try to stay alive. You want to stay alive, right? Because you want to do things. But you could be the safest person in the game by sitting in spawn and do nothing, right? You need to find the healthy balance between doing things and staying alive. And you can a lot of times do things while being in riskier spots and still stay alive because you are using cover, sticking with your team, knowing when to TP out and get to safety, things like that, right? You can be in a little bit more valuable situations that might be a little bit riskier, but you can manage and mitigate the risk through proper gameplay. What the? Oh, he went back into spawn. Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
This might hurt more than
So
usual.
my second spot went to Anna, so I was coming out of spawn, then she swapped Mercy at the last second, so I went back to pick Anna for anti-heal.
Probably honestly wouldn't really chuck sleeps in at this point just because it's such a long cooldown. You can probably chuck a nade in, but it probably even if you slept something there, it probably isn't dying.
Taking care of you.
EMP activated.
I won't let you fall.
Oof, unfortunate.
Yeah, I missed that one. That was just panic, I guess.
Yep, take an extra second. It doesn't take an extra. He's really big and fat.
Missing a roadhog is embarrassing, to be honest, but happens.
Rocket barrage incoming.
Escape me. The fray is upon us.
Okay, you're going taking high ground. That's a good spot. I like high ground.
I was looking for a nade on roadhog.
Yeah, good nade.
Don't fret. I see you. Fire forest watches over you. Salt for your wound. Taking care of you.
Okay. We didn't go for a nano at all that fight, so potentially could have gone for a nano play, maybe on like the Pharah when Pharah's diving in on top of things potentially. So that could have helped win the, because I mean they're at 99, we have to nano something here, because if we don't, because we're at a disadvantage in the fight and we just need to try to swing it around, right? Because otherwise we lose. If you were losing the fight and you weren't and they weren't at 99, then hold on to it, right? Because you've lost the fight. But it's last fight. If you lose, so you have to try to win. And you could have even maybe used nano back when this is more even, and you're like right here. Could be trying to use it on like the Pharah, who's right next to you, something like that.
Salt for your wound.
Yep. All right. We are running out of time. We only got 6 minutes left, so let's do a quick wrap up review and go over the main points of this session. And then good.
My notes are overhealing, that I need to work on to take more time to play offensively when nobody needs healing.
I'll find
About decision making, it was
And what did we
do something and stick to it, like commit to something and analyze later.
Yep.
Regarding Kiriko, it was take some time to deal more damage. I took note of the 60-40 thing, or 70-30. I don't know on top of my head how many damage to healing I'm doing right now, but I believe I'm doing way more healing than damage.
Yeah. I said it was probably more like maybe like 80-20 near games.
I mean, it depends on games,
Yeah.
I guess, because
Yeah.
sometimes when I have a Moira with me, I tend to play a lot more offensively, because I know she can hold my tank. But when I'm playing with a Mercy, as a former Mercy main, I know she can't really handle the tank healing that good. Even right now, when she, from what I understand, she take
just
like
aim for the head?
when she is debuffed by the DPS passive, she deals less healing. That's what I understand.
Yeah, when somebody, I mean everybody, counts for all supports, right? When a DPS looks at something, they receive, I think 15% less healing. They just changed it.
Every soldier needs a cause.
But I remember a story where Mercy had even more debuffs because when she had the debuff on herself, it was accounting for healing on teammates. I remember something along those lines.
That I don't know if I've heard that one, but if so, that sounds like a bug. So maybe they
Okay.
fixed it at this point.
Well, anyway, when I'm playing with Mercy, I feel responsible for all the healing basically because she doesn't have a huge numbers of healing. So yeah, I guess it depends on my second support.
So exactly, and that's exactly what I was saying, is that it will kind of depend on how much healing do you need to do, right? And team composition does dictate that. So yeah, you're right. You will need to do more healing, but that also doesn't mean no damage. So you still got to watch it. Really quickly, like 3 minutes left. Abilities, Suzu. Don't not use it. There's TP Suzu. You look to use that kind of combo. We never would use. TP, look to use it. I think your abilities you just kind of hold on to. So just make sure you're actually using them, especially your TP. TP to get back to the fight sooner. TP to get to better positioning. TP to see your teammates if they're out of line of sight. Suzu as needed. Overall, probably like a medium priority for you to work on. Ult usage, make sure. I only saw really like one Kiriko ult, and we like sent it into the wall. So just be careful and make sure you're taking your time with it. Don't rush it. And then mechanics. Damage and healing is needed. Sorry, damage and healing is not needed, is what I meant to say. Heal when healing is needed, damage when it's not. And just try to find that management. And watch those health bars. Don't overheal. That's really the main things. Look to do really anything else when people are full HP. And then that ties into awareness as well and paying attention to their health bars. Overall, that one was like medium, higher end of a medium, somewhere in there. In finding that management. Positioning was making sure you're using. I think you did a decent job of using cover. Good job, but make sure you're staying in line of sight of teammates, staying in range of teammates. I think sometimes you're just too far back. Remember, you're probably wanting to be close range to teammates, close range if possible to enemies. If you're just healing teammates, be at a mid range from enemies. But if you're going and looking for damage, you can try to get closer and closer. But just watch your ranging. A lot of times you're just like playing too passive and too far back. Away from the fight. And then besides that, yeah, I think those are the main things. Line of sight and not playing a mile away. Overall, that was a medium, and then maybe a medium, a higher end of a medium. And then awareness kind of ties in with some of the other things, like watch health bars, watch the flow of the fight, watch their team comp and how that dictates your play style. Just pay attention to your surroundings. Honestly, I think that your awareness primarily tied into the other things you're working on. So, for example, watching health bars and where your teammates are and their danger levels and things like that. That's all part of awareness, but it also kind of links in with the mechanical things we were talking about. So that one probably about a medium. So to put that all in order, number one probably came to the mechanics, and that kind of also ties in with awareness. So like let's just say mechanics/awareness. And then next came that positioning. Thirdly was ability usage, and then finally ult usage kind of came in last. Any questions on any of that?
Just the last question. Do you have any like websites or somewhere where I can find info on heroes, like team composition, like maybe heroes, how to use their abilities properly, like
websites,
workshop codes?
I mean, you can definitely find workshop codes online. I know there's websites that have workshop codes on them. Now in terms of like guides and like tips and things like that, I'd say you're probably going to be better off like YouTubing that kind of thing, because there's a lot of good YouTubers out there that I can recommend, and they'll be able to visually walk you through it rather than just reading through an article. Though if you really prefer, I'm sure you can find something out there. Not that I have any particular things in mind. There's more so like Overwatch Wiki, which has just like basic info on character stats and things like that. Like how much damage does this ability do, but not as much guides. That I recommend on like YouTube, and you can find a lot of people who do that kind of thing. CarQ does that kind of thing with tips and tricks for different characters. Your Overwatch has some guides on different characters. I think Stylosa, I don't even know if he still plays the game. If he still does it, but I know he was pretty good back in the day for character guides and playing things. But you can honestly, like, if you just look on YouTube, you'll find probably a plethora of coaching and coaching, as well as guides and tips and ways to play your characters that you can look at. And I just look for high ranked players that kind of know what they're talking about. I'm sure you can find a lot of different things to talk about it. Maybe Flats would be more tank. If you're looking for support gameplay, you can see if ML7 does anything. I'm sure there's a bunch of Kiriko players out there who actually specifically play Kiriko. I think CarQ plays Kiriko. Not 100% on that though.
Cool.
All right. Well, does that help a little bit? Any other questions on that?
Yeah. It helps definitely. I have a checklist of things to work on, so that's what I was looking for.
Cool. All right. Well, let's see. I'm gonna stop the recording.